Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in today's video we will be talking about top 5 LWC interview topics in 2025. Now these topics are based on the interview questions my student have uh, got in 2025, and then when we compare it with 2024 and previous years. Okay, there is no specific orders, but we have seen a general shift in the type of interview questions, and that is why we are creating this video. Okay, so number first on this list is the communication. The communication from child to parent and communication between unrelated components in LWC is the major interview topics. Questions have been asked in different ways, but this topic is very much consistent from last year as well. But focus has shifted more towards communication between unrelated components and communication between components who are nested in hierarchy, like from grandchild to parent, and from different childs in the same tree, how do we communicate between them. So questions have slightly changed in a way that now we do not get direct interview questions on it, like how do we communicate from parent to child. Now because obviously the topic has matured, LWC itself have matured over the years. Now interviewers are expecting you to explain a bit more, and because now everyone is able to answer the basic questions, they have to increase the level of complexity, and sometimes will throw you a difficult questions. In some instances I have seen that a few of my students have also got to write code related to lightning message services, all the structure of it, how you will create a lightning messaging channel, and then how the communication will happen, let's say from VF page to the lightning web component. Those kind of questions have also been thrown to my students. So there is a shift towards the kind of questions they are asking. Focus is more towards the practical approach. Second topic is this question, or this topic has came in as a new entry. There were questions on it earlier as well, but the frequency was very low. Now in every second third interview we are getting this question, like have you created the generic LWC components. Earlier generic LWC components were like a pagination component or generic modal component which you can reuse in other, but here now interviewers are expecting you to explain more. They don't want pagination or generic modal component because they are too basic. So they want you to explain the concepts of slots. They want you to explain the concepts of creating generic components which you can reuse further in your different pages, like creating a generic record detail page where from the meta XML file you provide the properties like object name and field, and based on the properties provided you will be able to display this. So you've created a generic record detail page where from the properties you provide the object name and the field name associated, and based on that you will display this as a record detail page, so you can reuse it for account, for opportunities, for contact, and what's not. So those kind of questions have been increased, and there have been many instances where many of my students have got this generic component as a interview question. So this is a new entry in this list. Now third is still the lightning lifecycle hooks, but earlier life cycle hooks used to be like, can you explain the life cycle hook, or can you tell me when do we get the connected callback. Those kind of questions, more of the questions were in the theoretical part where they were expecting you to explain whole life cycle hook, and then there were one or two cross questions on one of the callback methods. Now they are asking more practical things, like why do we have constructor, have you ever used constructor, what you have done inside the constructor, have you ever created a disconnect callback, what we typically do in the disconnect callback, tell me a practical scenario where you have created a disconnect callback, tell me a practical scenario where you've got a infinite loop because of the rendered callback. So focus is shifting towards the practical implementation of these things. Okay, and from your answer also try to explain it practically. Do not just focus on the theoretical part, because they are expecting more. In general they are expecting more, and they are expecting practical knowledge. They value people who have practical exposure to these things, so that when you get those kind of situations in project, you do not fail, okay, or you do not need extra time to cop up to those things. Fourth topic is there are two topics in this, where the first one is the JavaScript concept. JavaScript concepts have been there in from the very beginning in the LWC, and they used to ask a lot of basic questions. But earlier questions were towards what is let keyword, what is where keyword, why we should use let, simple JavaScript concept, what is the on-click handler, how do you communicate from HTML to JavaScript, those kind of questions. Now they are expecting more from you, and they'll be asking the different array methods, different object method, like what is the array, what is the promise, or what is the arrow function, what is the different array functions available. They'll be asking about sorting, they'll be asking about sum function, they'll be asking about different JavaScript array functions and object functions. If there is a nested array and then we have an object inside it which has a list inside it, how will you get the, or how will you iterate from top to bottom, top to the inner element of it? Those kind of questions will be there. And then on the fourth place we have another topic, which is the communication from LWC to Apex. So earlier it was very simple. How do you communicate from LWC to Apex? There are we can use wire, and we can use the iterations, or imperative Apex, I'm sorry. So we can use imperative Apex, but now they are not looking for that. They are asking you more towards the practical things, like let's say uh, uh, from JavaScript you are calling Apex, and how will you debug those things? Let's say you are not getting something in return, or let's say you are getting the object in return, how will you decouple it in your JavaScript? Those kind of questions. So this still is a important topic, communication from LWC to Apex, but they are not expecting you to just tell imperative Apex and wire. They are expecting more from it, okay. And then the last one is the LDS, but in LDS also they are focusing more towards the LDS based functions and adapters, rather than the record view form or record edit form. Earlier there was a lot of interview questions on difference between record edit form, record view form. I rarely see any such question nowadays. What I see now is they'll be asking, okay, can you explain the get record function, why it will be better to use get record instead of using Apex, or explain the different wire functions and adapters and what will be the advantage. They'll be drilling on a particular wire function, and then they'll be asking questions, cross questions on those. So that is also very important for you all. What I have seen is there are not a lot of questions, or very few questions, on LWC versus Aura. That topic I think is going to be dead very soon, because LWC is pretty mature now. There are not a lot of questions on decorators. Like people used to ask decorator a lot, but now decorators is they're not asking decorators. Even when they are asking, they'll be asking it in a tricky way. They'll be asking two-way data binding. They'll be asking why we still use track when every property is reactive. There'll be no straight or direct question on it. Remember all these things. There'll be a lot of questions in terms of call out from LWC as well. I've seen that in couple of instances people have got questions from call out via LWC. One is direct call out, one is the call out via Apex. So try to do that as well. So these are our top 5 list for the LWC topics in 2025. If you feel that there is a topic which is very trending, we have not included, please try to mention that in the comment box. This will help the whole community, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you everyone.